Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann. I'm also known as the Habit Fixer, and I love helping women to regain their mojo and age well. I do that with EFT, which is a really simple tapping technique, nutrition, skincare, and digital products. And I'm ever so excited because my guest is the wonderful Erkan Ali. If you don't know him, he is a business performance specialist. He lives in Cyprus, and he's also a property consultant. Hi, Erkan.
Hi, Julie. I was just thinking, how long has it taken us to set this up?
I know, a long time, but then lots happened in your life, hasn't it?
It
As
has.
happens in life. And that is absolutely great that you're here today. So I know they're going to be talking about 6 easy habits to transform your life, aren't you, Erkan?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Brilliant.
when you asked me the question, I kind of had to look up what does habit mean.
Yes.
Because I thought, like, well, I don't have habits. Other people have habits. I just do what I do, because I'm so spontaneous and creative. There's no pattern, but there's loads. And when I started looking at it, I thought, what am I doing? And one of the things the definition said, and I'm not going to pull it up, but it said something about unconscious, what you do without even thinking about it. Now, obviously, when we first start taking on new habits, we're consciously incompetent, and then we start to make them consciously or unconsciously competent, and we just do things we do. We don't realize that they were learned or they were instilled in us in some way. But the first habit I'd like to share, and it's a new one for me, and it's partly to do with living in North Cyprus, was the relationship with the beach. Now, some of the listeners might go, oh, beach, but listen, when you live your life by design, or you can design it how you want, then you position yourself and find yourself where you want to be, choose to be. I'd never been a beach person, ever. Really, I'd like to go on holidays. I like the swimming pool. I didn't like the sand and the grit and the discomfort of all that. But about 3 years ago, when I immigrated, I developed a new relationship with the beach and the seawater. So one of my main habits is getting up early, especially in the summer because it gets very hot. And if you look at me, I'm starting to sweat already. It's about 37 degrees here today, and I'm not putting on the aircon yet because it's still June. It's getting up early and getting that early sun, walking the beach, getting grounded, and getting in the water and experiencing the minerals in the water, letting your body absorb the minerals. And then I do something called cupping or sunning. So I close my eyes and I look at the sun, and I do these what they call the Bates method. So that's one habit. I don't know if you want to comment or
Yeah, well, I
say
actually want
something.
to ask you what the Bates habit is, because I've
Well,
never
the,
heard of
well,
it.
well. I heard about Bates through, I can't remember who, but it was. I always like to look, and it comes down to one of the other habits I'm going to talk about right at the end. Is always exploring new ideas to you. I mean, there might not be new ideas in the world, but they might be new to you. And I discovered this guy called Bates. I can't remember his first name, sorry, but basically, if you look up Bates method, it will talk about sunning and cupping. And what he said, and we're both wearing spectacles, is that you don't need to wear spectacles, and there's ways of restoring your eyesight. So one of the ways you do it is with morning sun is best, is to kind of look at the sun with your eyes shut. And if you think about the membrane that covers your eyeballs, it's very thin. And what happens is that the sunlight, see, this eye now will dilate or open up, and then this eye will dilate where the shade is, and this eye I don't know what you call it when it goes smaller. Is there a word for that?
There is, but I don't know it.
Yeah. So as you move, this eye, if it's taking the sun, will close, and it will basically start to make your irises work, and it will rejuvenate the cells in your eye. And you're using the sun's energy to stimulate the cells in your eye and basically help restore your cells.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I mean, obviously, anyone listening, watching needs to go and find out what this Bates method is, so they don't hurt their eyes.
Yeah, no, don't look at the sun directly or anything like that. And then what the
No.
other one is that's called sunning.
Yep.
And then this one's called cupping. And cupping is you basically let your eyes, like you do this for maybe a minute, and then you let those irises really open up and stretch all the way out, and then slowly let the sun back in, and it brings them back in. So, and then the other thing is to look far away and close, far away. So what you're doing is basically essentially exercising the eye muscles and stimulating the cells. So that's
So
something I do quite regularly.
what I've got to ask you, Cam, because you are wearing glasses, is how long have you been doing it? And, have you seen an improvement? And is your intention at some point not to be wearing glasses?
I would love to not be wearing them. I think what I do is they haven't deteriorated.
In how long?
3 years, maybe.
Wow. And you'd expect that, would you?
Well, I would expect mice to deteriorate, and don't forget we do look at a lot of things on laptops and tablets, and when you read in, there's a lot of strain. So what's happened is in the way humanity is at the moment, we're here. We're in devices, we're on laptops, and it's also very natural for us to be out there, looking at the distance. In the old days, we'd go hunting or trying to find our way through the forest or whatever. So it's developing the working the muscles to look away and come close, look away and come close, because we spend a lot of time here. So I would say that what I've noticed, I've not had my eyes retested in 3 years. So
Wow.
it's a good question, because I'm like, is it helping? Isn't it helping? But I'm not deteriorating. But it'd be
Brilliant.
interesting if I go and get them tested. They might go, oh, they've improved. What have you been doing? I'll go, oh, it's the Bates method.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea.
Yeah.
I love also, Ken, that you looked up habits to find out what it is. Because of course we all have habits, and some people say, oh, I've got bad habits or I've got good habits. I don't like to define them as good or bad. Habits are habits. And if we have particular habits, then they will give us the outcome we want, or they'll take us away from the outcome that we want. And it's as simple as that. So there's no such thing as good and bad. But habits are what have us function on a day-to-day basis, because of course things like walking, once we've learned to walk, we don't have to want to, I'm finding it hard to speak actually, but we don't want to be learning how to walk every day. So there are lots of habits that we have that we take for granted, but absolutely, our lives function automatically because of those habits. So yeah, great. What's your second habit?
Second habit was a CRM system. And for those of your viewers might not know what that is, that's a customer relationship management tool I use, as a software package. I use an online package. And basically, if you're going to take relationships and managing your business, or managing life seriously, I think having a good CRM asset is a great idea. So what I do in my CRM is everybody I meet goes into my CRM, and I will give them a category. I will put notes about them. I put all their details that I have, whether it's phone number, email address, LinkedIn profile, and depending on who that person is and why they're in there, it will evolve. And by tagging the people in my CRM, if I'm looking, I don't know, if I'm looking like I want to connect two people up, I might put a search in for, do I know anyone who's an estate agent, or do I know anyone who does this? And I just put in the tag, and I know 8 people that are doing that, and it's like oiling the wheels of relationship and relationship management. So and also I know a lot of people probably watching this do networking, whether it's formally or not. And actually, number 5 is networking, but it supports the work of networking, is to have a good CRM system.
Yeah, because you can't keep it in your head, can you?
No, not at all.
We don't want to fill our heads with that sort of stuff. So you might as well tell us what it is, the CRM system you use.
Oh, I use Capsule CRM. Main reason, it's not too expensive. It's about £15 a month. I think there's a free version, and it kind of integrates with MailChimp. You can connect it to all sorts of other. You can API it into other software platforms. I don't use it that way. I probably use 5% of what it can do, because I'm a lone ranger. But if you're in an organization, or you run a business, or you run a team, I think having your team on a CRM system is a fantastic way to develop what you do and build efficiencies, and also an audit trail for conversations.
Yeah.
Like you go back to it and you think, what did we agree the other day with Julie? And I go back and all right, we have WhatsApp, and that's the other thing. You have WhatsApp, you have emails, you have Telegram and Messenger, and then you think, where did I have that conversation? And I try and, as much as required, is put those conversations into the CRM, so I know where those conversations are held.
It's a good idea. And you have to tell me what API is, because I've got no idea.
I don't know what it means as in API, but it's the way different softwares integrate.
Okay.
So you've got to say an accounts package, you want to merge it into your CRM system. They'll API in. I don't know. I'm
It's
probably someone will
connection.
correct me,
Yeah.
but that's
Got it. Okay. Number 3.
Number 3, I put information. That's a broad word, obviously, but I am prolific. In fact, I would go beyond habitual. I think it's more obsessive, is acquiring knowledge. It has been unhealthy at times, but I've just got an innate desire to understand how things work. And, you know, I think I put out some old videos of mine that I used to talk about coaching. So I had this innate desire to know how everything works. So if I went to the mechanic with my dad, I'd want to know how the car engine works. If I ate a curry, I'd want to know how did they make the curry? What did they put in it? And I think that's a real childhood natural desire. And what happens, you know, when the kids go, why? We go, no, shush, stop asking questions. You know, as an adult, to be that source of information is difficult. But I've kind of maintained that throughout my whole life. So I will constantly be adding new books to my Audible account. I came back from the UK about 2 weeks ago. Came back with 6 books. I love acquiring knowledge. You know.
Yeah. I actually think that sense of curiosity is really, really important. So you're saying at one point, Erkan, it was a bit obsessive. So do you have to kind of put a cap on it? So do you have a time limit on how much research you do into that, or you decide what's priority and what's not, and then let go of some of it? How do you keep, how do you manage it?
I think it depends what's going on in life at the time now. Because when you, I mean, been at it for quite a few decades, the curiosity hasn't waned, but finding new things to capture my imagination has kind of, that's kind of, I think that's kind of died down a little bit. But that doesn't mean there's not new things to discover. But then how much can you keep adding to the pot? You know, it's more like that. It's like I could go and just chill on the beach for a bit. Oops, you okay?
It's a bit of a coughing fit.
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, I think it's really important to keep exercising the brain, isn't it? And to
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, but I mean, when I say obsessive, I mean I go to bed with my headphones on, you know, and I'll listen to things overnight, and I might listen to a book 20, 30 times. I think
Wow.
that's probably most reasonable people would say it's a little bit obsessive. So, but you know, the comparisons are pitfalls. We know. But I love it. You know, I mean, I've also been accused that you never really relax, you never switch off. So I've had those times where people kind of, you know, close family, friends, or partners have said, you know, don't you think you need to go to bed without your headphones? And I'll be like, yeah, I love my headphones. So maybe it's an addiction that sometimes has been, but it makes flying a lot easier.
Good. Right. Habit 4.
Habit 4, and I put, and this is not something that's been regularly in my life recently because I've been in North Cyprus, but previously this was really, really probably one of my most valuable habits was going to seminars and talks, like live seminars and talks. I don't mean, you know, we could binge on TED Talks and there's loads on the internet. I mean, go to events, go to, you know, it could be anything. You know, it could be anything. Obviously of interest, and then you meet people and you can talk to people, and then that's part of the net. You know, it's part of, I suppose, leads us on to number 5. But then then you're also exposing yourself to interesting ideas, but you're in a live environment. And it could be a comedy event, it could be a talk, philosophical, it could be anything really. But it's out there. You could go to, you know, I'd go to, you know, conventions and exhibitions, and go and meet, go to, I don't know. Go to any kind of exhibition and you'll meet people, there'll be talks, there'll be, you know, that live feel of real ideas being shared, and you can sit there and then you meet someone else, you talk to someone else about them, what did you make of that? And you know, it's really, I find that's very fertile grounding for me personally. I love it. Not done so much of it in Cyprus, but we're starting to do things here that I haven't done for quite a while, which is exciting, and that's something I really love. I think that's really, and it's really nurturing. And go out open, you know, like you're not out there to just get business, or you're not out there to find a new boyfriend or girlfriend, but you're just out there to experience it. It's not like you're out to produce a result. You're just out there to experience what comes, and things always come.
I love that you've said that, kind of to go not attached to a particular outcome, and just go and be in that environment, and
Mm.
be open to whatever gifts and resources you can take from it. So that sounds brilliant. So obviously you've got a very packed life, Erkan. So is there time for relationship? Is a personal relationship? I know you've got family, you've got children. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of things which are very interesting and fascinating to you and help you grow. Is there also time for family and
I think that's probably the thing that Cyprus has given me the most of. If someone said to me, "What's the thing you got the most on being here for 3 years?" especially the first 2 years, first 18 months, I'd say, I got to go and spend time, really like time doing nothing. I mean, seemingly nothing, whether that's walking the beach or going out into nature or with the kids, or with my partner. We spend a lot of time, we might just say, let's pack a picnic bag and go sit on the beach with a blanket and watch the sunset. Like things that cost no money, don't need any personal advantage, you don't need any personal talent to go to the beach or wherever, just, and if you're watching this in the, in the other parts of the world and you don't have a beach nearby, that could be the park, it could be all sorts of places. We've even, before we've even gone and done picnics on the top of, high-rise car parks, believe it or not, because there's always something interesting to see. There's something going on. So yeah, I think, no, it sounds like I'm very busy, but I'm not that busy.
Okay.
No.
I like the idea of a picnic on top of a building like that.
In fact, I think we did a barbecue up there as well.
Nice one. Nice one. Okay, on to your next habit.
Next habit was networking, which I suppose it links the CRM, the seminars, and I suppose information. They all kind of wrap into one way, because if you're networking, I mean, so I'm going to talk about networking as a conscious activity, like networking. What is it to network? We know about BNI, we know about networking and business events and speed dating and all these type of things that are designed to help us accelerate the process. But what is it to network? What is it to go and meet people? So when I'm out, I'm always networking. And what you could call ABC, always be closing, if you're going to talk 70s sales technique. But you're always looking, like you're alert, and you're always looking at opportunities. So who's this person? What do they know? And then what I want to introduce into this is the concept of the 6 degrees of separation, which I'm sure you might be familiar with. But
yeah, but can you explain that, please, for anyone?
Yeah, so what 6 degrees of separation says is that between you and anyone in the world, whether that's the president of the United States, there's 6 people. So you never know who Julie Mann knows, and you don't know who.
Extraordinary, isn't it? Because often we don't think like that.
No, because you might look at Julie Mann and like think, well, she's not of any interest to me. I don't know. She doesn't. We're not in the same.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, but what I mean is like you might just look at that person and think,
yes,
well, there's nothing about them that there's any connection or any kind of and I'm talking about maybe more in business terms maybe or whatever, but you don't know who Julie knows, and you don't know who Julie's friends, who they know and who they know. And that's what I think, really, if you're networking, you're really starting to think of people as a portal into whole other I was going to say
communities.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't know who people know, and you have no idea. You might meet a little old lady or a little old man, and then you don't know who their sons are, their grandchildren are. You just don't know who people know.
Yeah,
Really
it's really important not to assume, isn't it? And to kind of go, oh well, I don't want to use an accountant. I don't really point to accountants, but for instance, if you're not looking for an accountant, it's like, don't avoid accountants, because, like you say, you don't know who those accountants know. So what makes your networking, Erkan, different from maybe the traditional, whatever that is?
Well, I think I can't answer that question directly, but what I would say is we're human beings, we're social creatures, so ergo we're always networking. So are you doing it with consideration and skill and development? Are you doing it consciously? Or are you just talking, when you're talking to people, what is it you're really saying? What are you looking for? How are you going to, so yesterday I went to a co-working space here in Kyrenia, and I met a very interesting man. He used to be a filmmaker. He's now running a co-working space. I don't look at him as just him. I think, well, given that he runs a co-working network, a facility, he's probably got access to thousands of people. How can I help him? How can he help me? And then what do I do? So when I get back, I probably don't have it right here. Yeah, there we are. There's his card. I'm not going to show any too details, but there's his card. That'll go in the CRM system. I'll put everything I know about him. I've already linked in with him on LinkedIn, and I will then think about what's next for me and him, because I liked him and I thought he was interesting. But can we work together? Can we help each other? And then I'll set up a time to meet, and that could be online. I mean, probably won't be. Probably I'll go and see him, or he'll come and see me, and we'll sit face to face and find somehow of working together or finding a way to support each other's projects. So
I
that's
love that, Erkan. I love your approach. I love that you talk about the human aspect and, you know, talking to a human being rather than someone who might give or, you know, give you something. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way to network. So thank you for sharing that.
just one more thing about that, but I think also, and again, might be egg sucky sort of comment, but it's when you first meet people, what's your pitch? What are you saying to them about yourself? You know,
What
I
do you
actually stop
say?
people. Well, I give people a very, I try and keep it to 3 minutes. I mean, you know, anyone who knows me knows I probably have taken longer over that, but just 2 or 3 minutes to just set the scene. Like, who are you? And I know you know this. Like, how are they going to listen to you?
Yeah.
What's the listening? How do you want them to perceive you? And when you first meet people, you've got every opportunity to create that for them. So what's your opening line? So I would say something about the fact that I travelled from the UK and I did it. I drove across during COVID and the world was shut down. So people think, wow, this guy's you know, like, I don't know. They may have different opinions about that, but they know that I'm an unreasonable person, and they'll know that I will do what it takes to get where I want to get to. And then I'll give them a little bit about my professional background, and I'll also put in something like what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, because they might go, oh, you need to meet my friend XYZ. He's news right up your street. And that's where you're starting to prime, if you like, the networking process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like it's you know, getting without getting too esoteric, it's a little bit like what, you know, and I'm going to use this term very cautiously. It's like law of attraction. What are you attracting?
Yeah.
Where are you tuning your dial? You know, like in terms of the energy, the way you talk, the loudness, all of that is it's you've got to get that you get to say how people perceive you. They might not like you, they think you're awesome, but you get to say. And I don't think most people think that way. I don't think many people.
I mean, I think there are going to be some people maybe listening, watching, who might have heard of the law of attraction, or never heard it, or don't really know what you're talking about. But you know, from your point of view, how would you describe the law of attraction and your
It's really simple. You know, you attract that which you liken yourself to. Energies match. You know, like if you've got a certain energy, you've got a certain vibe, you'll attract people like you. You know, on a very simplistic level. You know, if you go to a party, you kind of end up hanging out with the kind of people that just, you know, have a similar vibe to you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're not in the mood for a party, you go to a party, you're probably just sitting around on your own all night. Because, and then maybe someone else will sit next to you that's a little bit down that night as well, and just go, "Oh, you're all right, yeah, I'm all right, yeah, party's all right. What do you think? Yeah, it's okay, yeah." But if you're on
Yeah.
a different vibe, other people, you know. So I think it's about, you know, being consciously active in terms of what you want to attract.
Yeah. I'm with you all the way there. Yeah. Okay.
So that's number 5. Do you want number 6?
I do.
Okay. Now I actually I gave this quite a bit of thought. In fact, I thought, and it's probably the hardest one. And I want to quote Russell Targ. Russell Targ was a remote viewing, very cutting edge. I think he worked with the CIA and he wrote a book. I can't remember what it's called now, but if you look up Russell Targ, and he had a quote: "We do not challenge that which we conclude. We do not challenge that which we conclude." So in other words, what does it take to stay open? And if you ask most people, "Hey, Julie, are you open?" "Yeah, I'm open." Then I'll say something, you go, "That can't be right." And I'm like, "Well done. You just said you're open." And then 2 seconds, 5 minutes later, you're like, "That can't be right." So to me, is what does it take to stay open for you? I'm not saying you have to be open. And I think this shows a marked level of intellect to sit with an idea, to contemplate an idea without having to agree with it or disagree with it. I think it's a very valuable skill, and it's one that I think our education system doesn't really foster. What our education system wants you to do is, here's some knowledge, learn it, and that's the way it is, and then you'll defend it to the death. Now, if you look at anyway, I won't go into that. That's a whole different story. But what does it take to stay open to ideas that push your boundaries? Like, so if you're operating within that view of the world, and then just open it up a bit more and open a bit more, and then you look through that world, you can see different things, you know, and then your view will give you options and position. You can position yourself in the world according to how you perceive the world, and
Love
that
that.
I
Yeah.
think that's
I mean,
really powerful.
I guess, Erkan, that In the process of developing that skill, there'll be moments when you notice that you're a no or a disagreement in your head, and then it's about, oh, I'm doing that thing. Actually, I'm going to let go of that judgment and open up to listening to what this person got to say, and the possibility of it being something that is really going to have me see that bigger picture.
Well, there's a word. There's a word for the, if you like, the thing that holds it closed, that holds it. It's called cognitive dissonance.
Yes.
So if we're given an idea that just goes too contrary to how we see the world, it's just too far for us. And I think having the skills to go, you know what, that idea really blew. Now there's going to be a caveat here, because I've had people say, quote me, sort of mainstream thinking, and say, you're not open. I said, well, I can't be open to something that I left behind 20, 30 years ago. You have to progress. I'm talking about opening and progressing, not trying to say to somebody, well, no, you should take your thinking back down to here, and you're not open to that. No, I'm not open to that. And that in itself may be something I might open up to, but it's like, it's not about going back. It's about stretching your purview, your perspective. Yeah. So, I think as long as it's stretching you, and even if those ideas, and the thing with cognitive dissonance as a concept, it can be quite disturbing. I mean, I think it was about 15 years ago, I went down the rabbit hole of flat Earth. And I talk about it, and I say, "Oh, flat, flat." And the people just go, "That'd be stupid. That'd be crazy." I said, "But it was flat for centuries. Centuries we operated within that paradigm that it was flat, and it's okay. It's been 200 or 300 years that we now perceive it as generally on this planet that it's round on this planet, But who knows? Who really knows? I mean, I look out; it looks flat. It looks flat from here. We drive coastal roads all the time, and you look out at the sea, and it's absolutely flat for miles. Just looks flat. I don't know. I wouldn't go to battle with you over whether it's round or flat, but you could argue that it is flat, and you could argue that it's round. Can you hold both ideas without having to defend one?
Yeah, love that. Love that. So that's your 6 habits, isn't it, Erkan?
Yeah.
I don't want you to stop, I just noticed. Got any bonuses or anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, I think it was around food.
Okay.
So one of the things that so one of my main reason for coming to North Cyprus, there are a few, but one of them was to buffer myself from the intrusion of government and corporations. And if you like the manifestation of that for me would be being off grid. So I don't need their electricity, I don't need their water, I don't need their food, I don't want their education, don't need their money. So it makes me quite a robust individual in the way the world is going at the moment, right? And what I found about when I first came here, for the first year, I started gardening, which wasn't really something that I'd done in my life. And what I started to think of as wealth, what I'd call intrinsic value, is what real things are in the world. So we're being drawn more and more into a metaverse, into a digital, I'd say, dystopia. People have their own views of it. I mean, especially with AI, digital central bank digital currencies, virtual reality, we're getting sucked more and more and more into this digital domain. I think what is true wealth is the world of the intrinsic, not market value, not demand, but I'll give you an example. If I grow tomatoes in the garden here and I wait until they're ripe and I pick that tomato and I eat it, it is incredible. And you don't need 20 tomatoes, 2 will do, 3 will do. Yeah. So you don't, because they have the minerals in them, they're not sprayed, they're not grown fast, they're not frozen, they're not treated with all sorts of God knows what in terms of chemicals and pesticides. That tomato has intrinsic value and integrity. Finding real seeds to plant in real earth and grow it under the sun with water and then pick that off. And the power and the nourishment of that is incredible. I think it's true wealth. I think that and knowledge are the 2 things that I think I'd like to leave people with. A heightened sense of perceiving reality and eating real food. Unbelievable.
It's been such a pleasure, Erkan, hearing what you've got to say. I've really loved it. I hope that all of you watching or listening I've really enjoyed what Erkan's had to say as well. If you want to find out more about him, all his links will be below. Mine will be there as well. And, if you've enjoyed it, please subscribe. There'll be plenty more habits to come. And if you think that something that Erkan has said could resonate with someone else, please, please share it. So Erkan, thank you so, so much for being such a brilliant guest.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And
Sorry it took so long.
No, I loved it. And thank you everyone else for watching.